Hello, Parsons students. This is your week 13 going into week 14 online video briefing for Design for Literacy as we move further into our audio visual books and begin to fully develop the design. And hopefully you've wrapped up your storybook or you are in the process of wrapping them up even as I speak. So let me go through what's going on. There's a lot of things kind of happening at once, and we're in our last weeks of school. And I, of course, am aware, I'm that teacher who is aware that you have other classes besides mine. And I know you've got many things you're trying to do. So in that context, I want to present to you the work we're doing and make sure you got a good understanding of what we have to do so you stay on track, you stay focused and balanced on the work here and everything else you're doing in your life. So this is just a quick broad view of our weeks to go. We're on week 13 now, and we're ending week 13 going into week 14. Our final files were due, and I think I've gotten maybe a little over half, so there's still kind of a lot out there, and I'm hoping that everyone has got a good plan, just like I am here on a weekend, to work on your project. I'm going to be working after this video to begin to process and create the final files for the storybooks so that they can be uploaded to the Blurb site and be printed in the next couple of weeks and be ready for our week 16 final presentations. So make sure you're working on the storybooks, and I also need you to make sure you're in contact with me. If you didn't have a review on Thursday, please reach out and arrange it. Otherwise, you will not get points for that class and for that assignment. So reach out on that, both on the storybook and on your part 1 audiovisual storybook. That was our last class. We presented both. We mainly presented our audiovisual part 1, but also some presented their storybooks depending on where they were at in the project. And then as the weeks go on, well, next week we're going to have a presentation sessions, probably in small groups. I'll send an email out with your design development. I'll tell you what that's about. And then after that, there'll be a week of production to complete the design and to do all the recording and producing the audiovisual MP4 recording using Figma, and I'll be briefing you on that for next week in our next video. And then on week 16, we'll have our finals. All 3 projects will be due. This is a same thing, but just a little more details. I probably should have this on when I was just talking, but basically it says everything I was saying in terms of like how we're going to fulfill the next couple of weeks, finishing our audiovisual book, and then also creating a final deck that has all 3 of our projects, which we'll review in a final review session where we will have guest critiques and small groups meeting with guest critiques to give a presentation of your baby board book, your printed storybook, and your audiovisual storybook. And we'll have more details on that, but it's probably going to be an in-class online thing where we are in different groups utilizing some of the other classrooms on our floor. And there'll be 3 sets of teams of judges in the 3 groups, and each of you will be a part of a 5-person group and present within that 5-person group within your team of judges. That's being worked out now, so more on that to come. But again, the first priority, if you haven't finished yet, is to have your storybook final files done and your layouts. Well, before your final files, if your layouts aren't done yet, to be finishing your layouts and showing me your completed or in progress, depending on what you need. Show me where you're doing on over this weekend. Email me, Slack me, help me help you complete that and complete it in the best way possible. Just because you're behind, just because time's running out, doesn't mean we need to do anything more than your best. So I want best work done as quickly as possible. And to finalize that, to be in touch with me. Communication is the key here. I want you in touch with me. I don't want just your final files appearing without me knowing about it and me not noticing, without me seeing what you've done. I want you to be in communication, particularly those of you who weren't there on Friday and Thursday. Please reach out to me and show me your work. And let's get those storybooks done by the end of this weekend, by Monday. Anything past Monday, we're getting into a real danger zone. So please, let's rally. Okay, so as we move on now to our second part 2 AV Storybook Part 2 design development assignment, our second assignment within this project. Basically what we're going to do now that I've seen your plan, now that I've understand and you understand the approach you're taking, whether you're simply adapting your storybook illustrations and design into the storybook, or if you're choosing a new storybook and a new story and creating a new set of illustrations, or if you're even thinking about writing your own story and making illustrations, or having somebody provide you with the story, any of those options, or if you want to take your story and recreate it in new illustrations or adapt your illustrations in a new way, all those things should be decided by now, and you should be developing it into a full set of layouts and a script text. And basically what that means is this is an example of the handful of clay project that we've been using for our example showcase for the storybook. And now for this, as you can see on this top row, basically the first 3 slides was what last week was about, creating the plan and showing the storyboard of what the plan, how the illustrations will be used. And then following from that is what you'll be doing this week, which is adapting your illustrations and finalizing them and creating them into a set of illustrations that are next to the script, the text from your story that will be read aloud when that image appears, when that image is moving across or moving up and down, or whatever the effect you have. This should be set up for each of those illustrations and each of the story components. So you can see that we have the beginning, and then we have the next image with the next paragraph, and it continues on, and with the full plan of how the illustrations will be featured and what text will be read aloud next to those. And here's the overview. So this is basically what you need to have done for this coming week. Most of it is going to be about organizing your illustrations and creating adaptations of them, or creating original illustrations that will work within this framework of this idea of a storybook that's read aloud with simple illustration motion graphics that can have. And some of you have asked about doing more sophisticated motion graphics, and I'm all for that. I just want to make sure that you keep the idea within this soothing, calming experience where the story being read aloud is the main focus and your illustrations being looked at and watched and moving is the secondary focus. Again, no explosions. It should just be something that's cool and calming, but not too distracting. Even to the point where they can just put the phone down and purely listen. We have to be that big about where our design fits into this idea. One thing to note that I didn't clarify quite, Lexi asked me at the end of class, but I forgot to bring this up. In the interface, there's going to be this automatic menu that pops up at the beginning of the story, and anytime like the user's hand goes there or finger goes there, it can pop up at any time. But in the beginning, it'll come up automatically, and then it'll fall down automatically. And in this moment in the beginning, this is where I want you to start your narration by saying the title, saying the author, and crediting the illustrator, yourself, and also separately crediting the narrator, putting it together, illustrated and narrated by me, or illustrated by me and narrated by my friend or my family member. So to make sure you say that in the beginning, and also at the end, repeat that again. A Handful of Clay, written by Henry Van Dyke and illustrated by Ivy Caruana. And that's how you'll end it. So keep that in mind in terms of how this first image needs to work. And I call it a title image or title page, but it shouldn't have the title on it. I mean, if you really want to have it in some way, I'm not against that, but as you can see, it's not needed. And if it's going to be there, it should probably be at the top, but I recommend it just being an image. So here it is fully. I repeated image 1 twice to show you how it looks like with the menu, the digital menu up, and then with it down. And then everything else is a still of how it's going to work on the inside. Okay, so in order to check that out, if you want to watch that video again, go to the class resources folder here in our main folder for the class. And in the class resources folder, there's a Dirt Audiovisual Books past projects, and in there are like 6 or so, 7 examples from past work. And here's Ivy's literally. You can watch that again and see how that works, and then watch these other. If you haven't yet, you should for sure do this. And then when you're done with your deck, please post it on our part 2. And I want to remind everybody that you should be posting, like last week's assignment needs to be posted into part 1. And you need to be maintaining this, because I am going to look at this at the end of the semester, and I'm going to utilize that as part of my grading. And if you don't have decks up there, it's going to cost you points. But a little secret, I'm not going to be opening everybody's deck. So even if you just put something in there so that you're maintaining it, but put the right thing in there. Put the assignment in there. And even if you have to work backwards and delete pages and submit your, just whatever it takes, put your full assignment in each folder so that you have your maximum points. Okay, so that's it. Watch out for my email early next week about how we'll be doing next class. Again, I'm going to break us up into teams and give more of a chance to get feedback from the rest of the class, instead of me hogging all the feedback like typically I do. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll be looking forward to seeing your progress, and good luck with all the work you're doing, and see you on Thursday.